Welcome back. Now it's time for our daily press review, and we start off from Nile News, and we have the following headline. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi holds talks with his Palestinian counterpart. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met on Monday with his Palestinian counterpart Mahmoud Abbas in Cairo. The talks between the two leaders focused on the latest developments in the region, in the Palestinian territories, including the peace process as well as the situation in the region. President el-Sisi said that Egypt will continue its efforts to establish a Palestinian state on the borders of June 1967 with its capital in East Jerusalem. The president stressed during the meeting that the Palestinian cause is a priority for Egypt's foreign policy. For his part, the Palestinian president briefed President el-Sisi on the efforts exerted by the Palestinian government to push forward the peace process. Abbas also expressed his appreciation for Egypt's efforts in supporting the Palestinian cause and people at every international and regional event, as well as the creation of a Palestinian state with its capital in East Jerusalem. The two leaders also discussed the preparations for the International Peace Conference France will host on the 30th of May in a bid to relaunch stalled peace talks. Also on Monday, President el-Sisi received a phone call from Malawi's president, where they discussed relations between both countries. The Malawi president praised the depth of relations and cooperation between the two countries, noting that his country's keenness on strengthening and developing them in various fields. He expressed his country's appreciation for Egypt's efforts to boost cooperation with Malawi in several fields. For his part, el-Sisi pointed out that Egypt welcomes cooperation with its African brotherly countries. The president explained that boosting cooperation with the countries of the continent comes on the top of the Egyptian foreign policy's priorities. The president also praised Malawi's positions, which support Egypt in many international and regional issues. Also on Monday, the president met with Minister of Housing Dr. Mustafa Madbouli. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Alaa Youssef said that the minister reviewed the executive position of a number of projects by the Housing Ministry, especially the social housing project.
And moving on to اليوم السابع, from where we read, Prime Minister addressed the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail addresses the House of Representatives on Tuesday on security conditions in the governorate of Northern Sinai. The Ismail statement comes after the government officially informed the Parliament of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's decision to extend the state of emergency in Northern Sinai for more 3 months. According to the Constitution, the Parliament must be informed within 7 days of the declaring of the state of emergency, and the decision must be approved by the Parliament. Also on Monday, the Prime Minister visited the site of the huge fire that erupted in El Ataba district and followed up the latest development there. The firefighters mostly succeeded in stopping the spread of the fire to other buildings and shops in the area, and in which 2 people were died and almost 90 people were injured, according to the Health Ministry. The cause of the blaze was not immediately known, as investigation was underway. Also on Monday, the Prime Minister headed the Economic Group Ministerial meeting. The meeting tackled preparations for the holy month of Ramadan and availability of goods and supply to citizens and the development of the consumer centers. During the meeting, the Prime Minister followed up the market prices file. The meeting also focused on the project that aimed to attract investments as well as development works underway in the national projects as well as the foreign currency status. Earlier on Monday, the Prime Minister inaugurated the 5th conference of the information technology for people with special needs. The conference comes in the framework of the government support for the people with special needs to innovate and challenge their problems and their integration in the society.
And moving to Nile News, where we read Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri heads a meeting at UN Security Council. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri arrives in New York on Tuesday to head a ministerial session in the UN Security Council to discuss ways to combat the extremist ideas and terrorism. Shukri will participate in the Council's open debate at the ministerial level about fighting the ideological discourse of the terrorist organization. Shukri is also scheduled to hold meeting with high-profile international officials during his visit, including the head of the UN General Assembly. They will discuss the ways to improve the UN role to strengthen the international peace and security. The foreign minister will also meet with a number of his counterparts on the sidelines of the UN sessions to discuss bilateral relations and the issue of common interests. And now, dear viewers, we'll have a report on Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry's visit to New York. So stay tuned.
Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry headed on Monday to New York for a 3-day visit, during which he takes part in the sessions of the UN Security Council and General Assembly. During his visit, Shoukry is to hold meetings with a number of foreign ministers as well as senior UN officials. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid said that Shoukry is due to head an open ministerial session tackling the ideology of terrorist organizations. The meeting is held upon an Egyptian initiative as it takes over the presidency of the current UN Security Council session. Shoukry is also due to give interviews to a number of news agencies and international newspapers dealing with the role of the UN in preserving international peace and security.
Moving on to Al-Wafd, and we read, armed forces distribute 500,000 package of food to citizens. Defense Minister Lieutenant General Sadi Subhi has instructed the General Service Authority of the Armed Forces to prepare and distribute more than 500,000 packages of food commodities for free among needy citizens nationwide. The food distribution is based on order given by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to ease the burden on the citizens, especially at remote and poor areas. Field armies, social solidarity departments, and cooperative outlets in several governorates have coordinated to identify specific places at which citizens can collect the packages, especially in border areas in Sinai. The Armed Forces is in charge of distributing the packages to the citizens. And to shed more light on the issue, we are joined over the phone by Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Salman, the strategic expert. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Sir, how do you see this decision to distribute about 500,000 of food packages to the needy citizens or the less fortunate citizens nationwide before the holy month of Ramadan?
Yes, actually, as usual, the armed forces trying to play a big role to adjust the market, especially these days before the holy month Ramadan. As usual, every year we notice the increase of prices of most of the supplies. So the armed forces is trying to make a pressure for the market.
Yes.
To especially to offer a help for poor areas as the Upper Egypt or Sinai, and it's a very interesting thing to make the soldiers do it by themselves to distribute this for our people. It's very important thing to do it, not only in Ramadan. The armed forces used to do it many times, but we have to stop the light, especially these days, to make the market feel not the whole distributors of the supply. They are not only the one who made the price, There is a force, and the armed forces will do it very good well.
Okay, Mr. Salman, how do you evaluate the government's efforts to ease the burden on citizens, especially those who live in remote areas?
You figured a very important point, because President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is always trying to help to direct the government to the poor people, and we are now over 90 million people at Egypt, and maybe over 50% of these 90 million are very poor, you know. So the government should do a more effort, especially to this area at the Upper Egypt and the poor village, and you know, there is thousands of villages as very poor.
Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Salman, a strategic expert, thank you for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
And back to Parliamentary newspaper, and we read France condemns Helwan terrorist attacks. France condemned on Monday the heinous terrorist attack which took place in Helwan and killed 8 policemen. French Foreign Ministry spokesman Roman Nadal said in a statement that France offers condolences to the families of the martyrs. He said that France once again assures the people and government of Egypt of its solidarity in the fight against terrorism. He also asserted that France stands shoulder to shoulder with Egypt in its war against terrorism.
Yes, and still we are reading our press review, and this time from اليوم السابع. Aleppo fighting rages as US and Russia try to revive the Syrian truce. Syrian government forces and their allies fought insurgents near Aleppo on Monday as jets carried out raids around nearby towns seized by extremists. Meanwhile, the United States and Russia, who support rival sides in Syria's civil war, said on Monday they would work to revive a February cessation of hostilities agreement which reduced fighting in parts of the country for several weeks. Russia and the United States said in a joint statement that they would step up efforts to convince the warring parties to abide by the ceasefire agreement. A recent surge in violence in Aleppo, Syria's largest city before the war, wrecked the 10-week-old partial truce sponsored by Washington and Moscow, which had followed and allowed the UN brokered peace talks to convene in Geneva. The talks attended by government and opposition delegates, including representatives from rebel groups, broke up last month, with both sides accusing the other of killing the whole truce. Aleppo city is one of the biggest strategic prizes in a war now in its 6th year and has been divided into government and rebel-held zones through much of the conflict. To shed more light on the developments in Syria, we have the following report.
The United States tried on Monday to move past localized short-term ceasefires in Syria by announcing that an enduring nationwide truce would be restored. Yet that new approach was immediately called into doubt as Syria's military extended only a local ceasefire in the hard-hit area of Aleppo by 48 hours. The announcements came as world leaders meeting in Paris struggled to get faltering Syria peace talks back on track. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry announced a new U.S.-Russia agreement. He said it would reinstate a nationwide cessation of hostilities, diplomatic peace speak for the collapsed ceasefire the U.S. and Russia brokered in February. The American secretary said Russia had also committed to limiting the Syrian government's ability to fly over civilian areas where President Bashar al-Assad's military has been accused of violating the ceasefire. But Kerry cautioned that the agreement itself meant little if it was not backed up by the parties on the ground.
Now, dear viewers, that was the last report in our press review for today. So stay tuned with more updates coming up in our top stories.